Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where you'll hear ridiculous stories about people who think the world revolves around them and that nobody else matters. Guys, I hope you're having a great day today. And you know the drill. You're about to hear some crazy stories, so I hope you enjoy today's lineup and do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're diving in. So this story takes place a few years back. It's a story about my neighbor who we'll call Karen. So a little bit of background. I had recently moved into a new apartment closer to my work. There were, I think, 12 apartments, and everybody got a single parking space under the building. Now, when I first moved in, somebody was using my parking space for storage. I complained to management, and I point out that I'm trying to park in my spot, but it's filled with somebody else's crap. It was boxes of old clothes, books, and miscellaneous household items. Management then posts a note on the garage door with a threat to remove the stuff, and Karen appears. She's a woman in her 30s, with 3 kids and a revolving boyfriend. I'm pretty sure I never met the same guy twice. So our first interaction was her ranting about how some idiot was making her move all of her kids' things out of her storage unit. She complained to me that she had an agreement with the previous tenant, and they let her have the space for the last 3 years. But now some little skinny slut had taken over and was forcing her out. Now, she was referring to my girlfriend. She had seen her carry some stuff into my apartment. Now, I just kept my big mouth shut. I nodded along and offered to help her move her precious hoard. I had to suppress a chuckle when she told me that it was gonna go to the vacant parking spot for the remaining unrented apartment. Sorry to kick the can down the road, number 12. Anyways, I'm carrying a second box that has no less than 8 DVD Blu-ray players in it when it occurs to me that some of the stuff is probably stolen. I mean, who has 8 DVD Blu-ray players, brand new, still in sealed packaging? So I finish up and bid Karen farewell, and vow to never leave the garage door unlocked. So with that background, we can get on with the story. Now, cause all the parking spots were under the building, I used to park outside on the street to wash my car. I'm that guy with a bucket of car care stuff that you see on weekends, festooning a vehicle that has absolutely nothing special about it with way too much love. So there I am, in the oldest, rattiest home clothes I own, scrubbing my wheels and rubbing wax into my paint, when my neighbor, let's call him Jerry, pulls up. Now, to paint a picture, Jerry is 70 years old. He's bent over like 30 degrees at the hips due to old age and a work injury 20 years ago. Jerry gets out of his car and then shuffles over to compliment my work. He laments that he has to take his car to the auto washer these days, and those gosh darn machines just don't do his baby justice. Jerry's baby is an early 2000s Toyota Camry. We commiserate our love of mediocre mass-produced vehicles, and I offer to wash Jerry's car for him. Jerry's eyes light up, and he's genuinely thankful. He says he can't let me do it for free, so he hobbles back to his car and then he drives off, returning a short while later with 2 6-packs of beer. Jerry and I drink a beer each, and chat while I finish my own car and move on to his. It was a good afternoon of stories and beers, so I didn't mind in the slightest. When I finished, Jerry pushes the second 6-pack into my hands and tells me that I do good work, and he might even hire me again in the future. The whole process is ongoing for a couple of months. I wash, Jerry talks, and we just sort of hang out. And at the end, there's always a 6-pack for my hard work. But little did I know, evil was stirring in the background, for our happy car washing experience had been noticed by Karen. So the next time Jerry and I set up for the wash, I'm midway wash when Karen pulls up behind Jerry in her filthy minivan. She and her kids get out and she says something like, "Hey, I'm gonna park this here. I'm gonna be back in a little while." Now, naive me thinks that she's talking about having trapped Jerry's Camry between my car and hers, but nope. Anyhow, Jerry and I finish up and I help him pack his stuff up, and the cars go back into the parking garage. I'm minding my own business inside when there's a knock at the door. It's Karen, and this week's new boyfriend. Now, Karen's livid. She said, "You cleaned that old man's car? Why haven't you cleaned mine?" Now, I am confused, but I tell the dynamic duo that I didn't know I was supposed to clean her car. I tell her I only washed my own, and Jerry pays me in beer to help him with his. Now, I don't owe either of them anything, so if they're concerned about it, maybe they should clean their own vehicle. To credit Karen's new boyfriend, he just looks confused by the whole thing and shuffling awkwardly. But she doubles down. She tells me that she's a single mother and that she can't afford a good car detailing. She then screams at me that she also left her keys in my car to make my job easier. What if someone had stolen her precious vehicle? It would have been my fault. Now at this point, I'm done with this stupid conversation. She's also pulled some other crap and it's fresh in my mind, so I tell them to pound sand. I told her it's a free street. If she wants her car washed, she can do it herself. Otherwise, quit bothering me with her BS. Our next detailing session a couple of weeks later, Karen's boyfriend shows up with a 6-pack of cheap beer and tells me to do their van first, because they need it later. Jerry and I laugh at him. I chuck him an old sponge and tell him that he'd better get started if he wants it done quickly. The boyfriend sort of shuffles around while his brain computes. It must have gotten hot in his head because he drank one of those beers to cool down. He then tells me to go F myself. He can do it better anyways, and he drinks another beer and then goes inside. Karen then comes marching out and asks me what the hell my problem is and why won't I just wash her car, because she bought me beer. Now at this, Jerry and I do have another laugh. We tell her to politely screw off and finish up for the day. She then mutters something under her breath as she walks away. So about an hour later, a cop car rolls down the street. Now, my city has an ordinance against drinking on the street, so yes, Jerry and I were in the wrong here. But the street is very quiet, and before this, I've never seen a cop car just cruise by. So then, 2 cops approach us, and they say that they have a complaint about 2 men drinking heavily and abusing passerbys and people in the apartment complexes. They also said that there were reports of us trying to throw beer bottles at cars that were driving by. Now, I'm about to explain when Jerry looks the cops in the eye and says, "Officer, you caught me." The cops share a look, but Jerry just keeps going and says, "I've been out here drinking, watching this fella wash cars, and I don't think I'm drunk enough to abuse people and forget about it, but you caught me fair and square. Best take me away." Jerry then holds his hands out so they can slap the cuffs on him, and he finishes off with, "You might have to help me stand up. I can't stand without my cane." The cops sort of share a look like they don't know how to proceed with his confession. They just look at the 3 empties, neatly arranged on the lid of the cooler, and then they shrug and tell Jerry to put his hands down. We explain the whole situation, how our entitled neighbor basically wants us to wash her car, and she got mad that we didn't. We tell the cops that we think that she was the one who made a false complaint on us. So long story short, we get a verbal warning about drinking in the street, and we're told to enjoy our day because clearly we're not intoxicated. The boyfriend was later picked up by different cops on an outstanding warrant, after an anonymous tip pointed out his new unlisted residence to the relevant authorities. Jerry and I switched to Cokes, and the car washes continued until I moved out a year later. Okay, so getting mad at your neighbor for refusing to wash your car is one thing, but then calling in a false complaint to try to get OP arrested is just absurd. Well, he won't do it for me, so let's just call the police. Guys, entitled people never cease to amaze me. And if you think that story was crazy, the next story is even more entitled. So I live in a triplex, a 3-apartment home. We all have to share a basement, and we all have a key. There's no dividers or walls to separate the different areas for storage. I have a lot of things down there because I didn't want to pay for a private storage unit. I didn't think it would be an issue. So enters my entitled neighbor. The guy's around 80 years old. He has severe epilepsy, he smokes crack and drinks like a fish. I have no idea how he's still alive. So the guy's TV stops working, and he put it in the basement, as he was too lazy to dispose of it properly. So the guy sees my old 32-inch TV down there, and he just takes it. One way or another, the TV he stole from me also breaks down on him. So the guy comes back and knocks on my door and tells me that my television does not work anymore. Now, I was confused. He explains that he stole it from the basement and now the TV doesn't work anymore, so he needs another one. I told him I didn't have another TV, as the one he stole was my spare. He then asked me to give him my 70-inch flat screen, because it wasn't fair that I had a television and he didn't. He also insisted that I could just buy another one. Now, I thought he was just losing it because he's old. He even asked if I had a spare microwave, and when I said I only had one, he told me I needed to buy him a new one because he was on a fixed income. He said he couldn't cook anything because he needed a microwave. Now at that, I kind of did feel bad, so I just wanted the conversation to end. I told him we can give him some leftovers from the meal we just ate, as it was still hot. He then tells me that he doesn't eat chicken or rice. The guy then seriously demanded that I go to the grocery store and buy him a steak and cook it for him. He then says that he sees me cooking on the grill a lot and I never invite him. Now, I thought he was kidding until I saw the look on his face when I laughed. I finally had enough and told him to not bother coming over and asking for things and to stay out of my stuff in the basement. He then yelled some nonsense that he was gonna send his nephew over to straighten me out for being so rude to him. I told him I'll be waiting and just left it at that. Okay guys, so going through the comments of the post, OP does say that he did report the guy to management and they're trying to get him evicted. Now the guy does seem like he's a little bit crazy. It might be a mix of crack and the alcohol, I don't know. But OP does have some crazy updates and here they are. So update number 1, he just stole my grill and then pissed on the side of my car. I thought I had it all on video, but I'm an idiot and never set up the recording on my cameras. I'm ashamed to say that if this dude wasn't 80, I probably would have put my hands on him. I also don't want to be sued, so I'll just keep building a case against him. Update number 2. So I'm 99.9% sure that he just turned my power off. I'm sort of a night owl, so I do stay up late, relax, and browse the internet. I was watching a YouTube video about space, and everything in the house turned off. And guess where the breaker box is? The shared basement. When I go down to take a look, the main breaker was tripped. Not halfway as if it was a power surge or something, it was all the way off. I still have to fix all the clocks in the house and I'm pissed. The cameras don't point that way, so I can't prove it was him. It's on the other side of the house. At the same time, who else would it be? Update number 3. I took my grill back and talked to the landlord today. Apparently he was thrown out of his last apartment for this kind of crap. He also got kicked out by his family for borrowing a $2,000 generator and then selling it. Either way, I woke up with 3 roofing nails in my tire, so I called the police. They do have a record of everything that's happened so far, so they took him to be evaluated by a doctor. I'm assuming a psychiatrist as well. He did give me nasty looks the whole time they were here, and so did his nephew. Whoever guessed the nephew would be 65 years old is about right. I'll keep you guys updated as much as I can. Edit number 4. So apparently, this guy's friends with the upstairs neighbors. They asked me why we called the police on a quote, harmless old man. When I told them what he did, they said, that's just how he is. No wonder the guy thinks this behavior is okay. They even suggested that I'm responsible to bail him out if he goes to jail. My wife also told me that his nephew walked all the way around the outside of the house 3 or 4 times, and I'm pretty sure he saw the cameras we set up and was just checking to see if there were more. I feel like he's planning something. Update number 5. I spent most of the night last night on guard. Someone was throwing rocks from quite a distance and hitting the house. I was even thinking that they were using a slingshot. Now, they were too far to see on the cameras, and it was too far to see at night when I went outside. Each time, I cleared the property with a rifle. I've seen way too many movies to walk around unarmed at night with a possible psycho. There were minor damages to the siding, although it looks like they tried to hit a window. At this point, I got pretty pissed and called the cops. Supposedly, the older neighbor got released and fined, but no one's seen him since yesterday. Nobody answered the door when the police knocked either. They just told me to keep my doors and windows locked. And do you know what the upstairs neighbor said to me? They said, you should have just given the man what he wanted. All he wanted was your TV. Edit number 6. So, both of my former neighbors are in jail. They got caught trying to rob a gun store at night, and I heard about it from the landlord. I adopted their cat since they won't be getting out for a while, and it was locked outside of their house, and at least I can relax now. So yeah, OP definitely needs to move to a new place. Like as far away from these people as he can, because these people seem unhinged. Like come on, basically scoping the property out to see where the cameras are, and then shooting rocks with a slingshot at the house in the middle of the night, all over OP not giving him what he wants, which is a TV, seriously? Guys, I don't know if this is entitlement, or them just being psycho thieves. But yeah, if I learned my neighbors robbed a gun store, I'd be looking for a new place to live as soon as possible. So I have a neighbor named Bob, who's the biggest entitled D-bag that I've ever run into. Bob is a wheeler, he's a dealer, he's a haggler and a con man always looking for the best deal. If Bob buys or sells something, he has to feel like he got the upper hand, or he won't do the deal. And then, to add insult to injury of the deal, he runs his mouth about how dumb the other person was and how smart he is. So one time, Bob buys 3 lawnmowers at an estate sale for $10 each. Then he couldn't get them to work and offered to sell me one for $25. I knew how to fix it, so I bought it. I fixed it, and then he comes back wanting more money since I got it running. Well, I told him to screw off, and then he demands I help him fix the other 2 for free, so he can sell them for $50. He bugged me for days after that, so I showed him how to fix it, and he turns around and sold them both for $50 each, and then complains that I owed him $25. That's my neighbor Bob. So, the stupid thing that pushed me over the top and why he has a restraining order against me is a little bit longer. So I was managing a project where we bought 20 cases, which is about 2,000 lamps worth of light bulbs, that the owner decided were the wrong color, and he was good with paying for 20 more cases in the right color. The wrong colored lights were non-returnable and they were going in the trash, so I took them home with the consent of my boss. The day I rolled up with 20 cases of lamps, Bob comes over with a beer in hand to find out what I was up to, so I tell him the whole story. His eyes just gloss over and he asked if he can have some too. I give him a case and he takes it without even saying thank you or helping me unload my truck into the garage. Now Bob is an ass and I'm used to it, so I just ignore him as he walks off with a case of lamp. Probably to go brag to someone about how dumb I am for giving it away for free. Sure enough, over the next few days, various neighbors come knocking, wanting their free lamps too. I pass out a few small boxes of 10 to their disappointment. Then, someone on Facebook starts a post for the neighborhood about me passing out free lamps, and before this gets out of hand, I announce that they're $1 each. Come get all you want. And nobody comes. I still have 18 cases and wonder if I can sell them on eBay. Sure enough, there are lamps on eBay, and even a case of the exact same ones that I'm wanting to sell. Then I look closer, and the box in the picture has a job number on it, written in Sharpie on the side, in my handwriting. It was the case that I gave to Bob, and he was trying to sell it on eBay. So I contacted the seller and asked if he had any more. I told him the price was fine, but I needed 10 cases. The next day, my garage doors open, and I'm mowing the grass and look up to see that Bob is in the garage grabbing cases of lamps. After stopping what I'm doing to ask Bob what he's doing, he looks up as if it's the most normal thing ever, and he says he's gonna help me out and take a few cases off my hands for me. Now, the guy is a scammer and a liar, but damn, that was bold. I keep calm and say that sounds great, but the lamps are $1 each, which is what I put on Facebook. Bob was selling these on eBay for $2.50 each, and retail, these things go for around $3.50 each, for some context. Now, Bob is pissed off that I would dare charge him for the lamps. The very guy who would take them for nothing, sell them for a profit, and brag to anybody who would listen how dumb I was, is mad at me for it. He's pissed, and stomps off calling me little names like a schoolboy. So Bob comes back the next day, and he tries me again. Only, the price is $1.25 on principle, and I got to watch all the veins on his neck pop out and his skin turn red. This goes on for a week as I prod him on eBay for a delivery time. Now, the problem with Bob is that he can't just pay the asking price for anything, no matter what, even if it means spoiling the eBay deal. He would really cut his own nose off to spite his own face. So we end up settling for the original $1 per lamp, and I sold Bob $1,000 worth of lamps. He demanded that I deliver the lamps to his garage as a part of the deal, which is no biggie. I was having fun anyway. So I then watch as he tells the buyer, me, on eBay, that he has the lamps, but there is a shipping and handling fee, and his cost has gone up. I go back and forth with him on eBay for a couple of days, and it was great fun. And then I just walked away. About 3 weeks later, Bob comes back to me and wants to know if I would take the lamps back. I just smile and say that I have plenty of lamps, and then he gets really agitated. After a couple of weeks, I just can't leave it alone. This was too much fun. So I contact Bob on eBay and tell him a sob story about my project being out of money and ask if he will cover the shipping and handling. We go back and forth a few times and he asks for my address and a shipping quote. So I send him my address. And this is when Bob figures out that I got him. Now, he's livid. He then comes to my house yelling and screaming, saying that he's gonna sue me. And I just smile, telling him to get off my property. Now, Bob can't take being bested, so he calls my employer and tells them that I'm stealing light bulbs, how he has pictures and proof, and he's willing to testify in court. My boss got a great laugh out of it. And then Bob crosses the property line. He gets in my face and starts screaming with spittle and everything in my own damn driveway. I sent him home, and now I have a restraining order. I also still have 8 cases of lamps that I can't seem to get rid of. I would have let him sell all 20 cases for a small cut of the proceeds, but that wasn't good enough for Bob. It's never about money with Bob. He just has to feel like he screwed you or he's not interested. Guys, what a super satisfying story, and Bob definitely deserves it. I hate people like Bob. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories today, and thanks for popping by to hang out with myself and Stevo. Guys, for all of you who are new to the channel and don't know who Stevo is, he's the channel editor, and he's gonna link his Twitch and Twitter, so feel free to follow him, as I do pop by to play video games with him sometimes. Never. Actually, I'd never do that. But maybe I'll start. Anyways, guys, if you missed the last episode on the channel, a Karen demands a military soldier to serve her. Because, hey, he's already serving the country, so why not just add Karen to the list? Guys, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you. And Stevo, put a funny outro here.